Hey, John from FastStacks blog here, and in this video I'm going to step you through 21 image SEO tips. One thing I've noticed in some niches and for some search queries is when you search in Google, what's happening is you will get images showing up at the top. So while image SEO is really good for people that use Google Images for searches, which is really an awesome search portal, by the way. Google's now doing it in its regular search results pages. As you can see here, this is a regular search result at the top of the page, and there are images there. So images can be really good for SEO. So one of the first places and best places to get your own images, take your own. And I'm starting to do this more and more. And I don't have any fancy equipment. I don't hire professionals. I have, but I typically don't. What I do is I use my iPhone, and my images aren't perfect, but they're good enough, and I can get lots of them. So let's say I'm doing a product review. I typically like to buy stuff that I'm reviewing for like physical products, and I go out buy it, and I can just click away. I take tons of photos, and you can do that for outside. You can do that wherever. And it's not to say I don't use stock photos, and I also embed from Instagram and other places. But if you can, probably the best way to get a photo is to take it yourself. It's free and it's unique content, and it's just a really good way to add images to your website. Other sources would be my two favorite stock sites are Shutterstock and iStockPhoto. There are definitely differences between the two. I did do a really good write-up on FatStack's blog. You can, if you typed in like Shutterstock versus iStockPhoto, FatStacks, you'll find it. Essentially, Shutterstock has really good celebrity inventory. iStock doesn't. iStock is a faster portal to use, though. You can navigate through and download photos a lot faster. So each have their strengths and pros and cons. Pexels is a free stock photo. They have quite a good selection as well, so that's good. Shutterstock and iStock is pretty expensive. Amazon is a huge wealth of images, especially the products. If you're featuring any type of product in an article, you can usually get an image off Amazon. But please beware, you cannot download an image off Amazon and upload it to your site. You need to use the API. I use the AMZ Images plugin by Spencer of Niche Pursuits. It's something he released, I don't know, within the last year or something. It's really good. It does one thing and it does it really well. It embeds images from Amazon into your posts, you can literally do it. I can get images from Amazon into my post and optimize faster than if I use stock photos. It's just really good, so I recommend that. But there are others. There's lots that you can use. There's some free ones too. Instagram. I have a slide later that's going to show you how you can embed a post from Instagram, which basically opens up to unlimited images for your site, because there are millions and millions and millions of images on Instagram, and you can find some pretty cool stuff there. Same with Pinterest. You can embed most pins. Some account holders will prohibit any embedding of their pins, and then you're out of luck there, but most do permit it, so it's not really an issue. And we've already covered take your own. Resize and optimize. This is important. I used to not do it, and that was a huge mistake. So when I talk about sizing, I'm talking about the actual dimensions of the image. If you download the large size from Shutterstock, you're looking at a 5,000 pixels wide image. If you take the image from your iPhone, it's often anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 pixels wide. So it's way too huge. I mean, given your website content area is made anywhere from 650 to 800 pixels wide, you don't really need an image that much larger unless you like a Lightbox. You might go up to 1200 pixels wide. So I use bulk resize photos. You can resize individual or in bulk. I love it for the bulk. If you're going to upload 20 images to a post, you can resize them all. They're all the same size. Really easy, and it's free. Optimizing means you want to reduce the file size. You don't have to have the crispest, highest quality image on your website. It's just not necessary. It slows your site down. It takes a long time to load. It's just a total waste of server resources, etc., etc., etc. No need for that. So what you can use is imagecompressor.com. When you go to the site, you'll see it's called Optimizilla. It's great. I use it all the time. It will optimize both PNGs and JPEGs, and it does it very quickly, and you can do it in bulk as well. So both of those are free. That's how I resize and optimize. That's how I tell VAs to resize and optimize as well. I also do use a nifty software called JPEG Mini, JPEG Mini. I did buy that. It's a desktop software for optimizing. I have that. I've had it for years. It's also quite good, but it only does JPEGs. So the other thing you want to do is you want to rename your images, especially if you get them off stock, or if you get it off your smartphone that you take. It usually just has some big long number as an image or as a file name. Okay, so I actually take the time and I rename, and you can often, at least on Macs, you can bulk rename, so you can actually like highlight and select all of like 20 images and rename them all and then add a different number at the end of it. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I manually go through and customize each file name. But when you download off Shutterstock or iStock, you're going to get this. Look, this file name is Shutterstock dash some number, and it looks really bad. So you definitely want to just adjust that name to whatever. I often will try to use anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 words and just describe briefly what the image is about. I add the date on the end, so it'd be like DEC 20-18, just so that I make sure that I'm not going to have any of the same file names in the long run if I have lots of images on a site. So if I add the date, chances are I'm not going to have the same file name within the same day. So you can see the second example would be Fabulous Blue Dress. I really, if my practice is to add the date at the end there, and I normally would. So let's talk about editing or optimizing the image on your site. Now, if you go into your blog post and you insert an image into your blog post, then you can click on the image and there's a little pencil icon that shows up. And if you click that, this is the screen that you will get. And this is where you can do some SEO optimization for your images, and it's pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, at the top box there we have a thing called caption. Now the caption is that text will actually show up below the image. I sometimes use captions. I sometimes just write a description below the image in the text editor. Either are fine. I mix it up. Some people are only captions, some people don't. It's up to you. Then the alternative text is that's the important part in terms of being descriptive of the image, and SEOs say that that's something that Google will actually take into account when it's ranking images. So the description is important. That would be a pretty weak example. This is an image I did on FatStacks. I just pulling out certain images. I'm not trying to rank for that anywhere. I mean, it has no relation whatsoever for FatStacks blog content, so I don't really care. But if I were running a travel blog and I had that Belize beach shot, I'd probably expand it and say, a photo of a nice sandy beach in Belize with a picture of a white and blue inn, palm trees. Really, really lengthen it out. The other options are display settings there. You can see you can left, right, align, none, or center. I almost always center all my images. And then you have your sizing options. I usually go full size. That's because I resize them properly. And then link to, you have the options of not linking to anything. So when someone clicks the image, nothing happens. You can go to the media file, which I almost always will select because that allows visitors to click the image and it opens up into a Lightbox if you have a Lightbox on your site. You can also go to the attachment page, which I do not do. And you can also create a custom URL. So you can have your image link to a merchant page with an affiliate link, for example, or to another page on your site. And then there's other options. You can add information into the image title attribute if you like. I don't always do that. And then you can add classes. I don't really do that. I do often, if I link off the site, I will check the box open link in a new tab. And that's pretty much all I do. So it's not a lot of work, but if you're dealing with 20 to 30 images on a post, it adds up in time. So yeah, this is kind of boring work. One image, it's not a big deal. If you're doing 30 to 40 images in a post, like a big gallery, yes, this gets very, very boring. Can you get somebody else to do it? And yes, you can. What you can do is you can hire a VA who you can train to do all of this, and I've done that, and I do that. There are some writing services that may do all the work in the back end of your site. You have to pay extra for that, but they will format and get images and find images and upload and optimize and do all of that back end work for you. But you will pay for it because, as you can see, dealing with a lot of images. If you publish a travel site, you're dealing with a lot of images. A travel site needs a lot of images. It's a very, very visual niche. And there are other niches like that. But while, writing the text is a lot of work, you also add to that image management. And that too adds up to be a lot of time. So posts can get very expensive, especially if you outsource all of it, the writing as well as the image management. And I have dealt with a lot of image management myself. I have had VAs do it. I I've had services do it. So there's pros and cons of each. Right now, I'm more or less, it's a hybrid. I actually have a VA that helps. I have a content service that's doing some of it, and I'm doing some of it. So for me, it's sort of, it all depends on the website and on the particular articles. So let's talk about lightboxes. I like lightboxes. I don't use them on every site, but for the sites that are really like the images are the central focus of the site, like if I ran a travel site, I would definitely use lightboxes. What they do is, this is an example here, is basically somebody clicks on the image and it pops up and it sort of gives the rest of the screen, kind of blacks it out a little bit so that the image is bigger and it's more central. And then someone can click the X at the top right and they get out of the image and they're back into the post. If you click, if you have it so that you go to an attachment page or the image URL, then they have to go back on the screen and navigate back to the article, and it's just not as user friendly. So I'm a big fan of lightboxes. A lot of themes come with them built in. You just have to click the switch. So I use my theme shop, and they have a built-in lightbox. In fact, this is what it looks like with my theme shop. For my two image-rich niche sites, I will use Foobox, Foobox. That's my favorite. It's very good. You do have to pay for it. Two things that it does that I really, really like are, it actually creates a dedicated URL for the Lightbox image. And that means if somebody pins it or somebody uses the image on their site and they link to it, they can actually link to a specific URL, which is really cool. The other reason I like it is you can choose to have social media sharing buttons show up in the Lightbox as well. I just have the Pinterest button only, but you can have other ones, and that makes the actual image in a Lightbox format shareable. So let's talk quickly about copyright. I am not a copyright attorney. I am not an expert in copyright, but I know this much. You cannot go and take any image off any site and justify it by giving them a link as a source. It doesn't work like that. That would be considered copyright infringement, and many people have paid legal fees and lost court cases over that. Okay, so what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is you can ask for permission, and a lot of sites will give it to you because they want the link. You tell them, hey, I'll give you a link. I just want to use your image. I've done that with a lot of sites. I have standing relationships with them, and I have access to thousands and thousands of images because I give them attribution and I ask, and I have it in writing. So you do not want to feed the trolls, and by that I mean it's not the nicest term, but attorneys who are copyright trolls. And what they do is they have software that goes through, they have clients that hire them, often photographers, and they say, I want you to look for all instances of my work being used without my permission on the web, on the internet. And so the software will go and find those, and they find all the sites, and then the lawyers will send a demand letter to them and say, pay up $3,000 for violating the copyright and take down the image. If you don't pay up, we are going to litigate. And the last thing you want to do is go to court over very, very expensive litigation over the fact that you took one image. So that is the fact of the matter. That's how it works. Ask for permission, get a license through a stock, then you're totally good. Embed off the social media, although you're not bulletproof there. Okay, you're not bulletproof by embedding off Instagram. You got a pretty good chance. And the reason I only say that is, well, what if the account holder that you embed from actually stole the image from somebody else? Okay, that would still be some form of infringement. So again, I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you, err on the side of caution here and get permission for the stuff that you're using, or don't use it, or buy a license. So talking about embedding, here's an Instagram post. I actually thought this was pretty hilarious. And all you do is you go to Instagram. This is done on my desktop. You don't have to be on your phone to do that. You click a post, and then that arrow's pointing down to those three dots. You open that up, and there's an option there to embed. You just click that, and it gives you the code to embed the entire Instagram post into your WordPress editor. Very, very simple to do. And I do this quite a bit, and I think you can find some really great stuff, like this one, for instance, to embed into a post. And it's permitted. Instagram lets you do it. You can do it with Facebook. You can do it with Twitter. You can do it with Pinterest. So it's great. I mean, it's essentially unlimited options of media. But is it okay to do for an SEO perspective? And that's the huge question. And I've tested it quite a bit. And I would say, on a balance, I've ranked a lot of content just with Instagram embeds. I might have a featured image that I got from stock or I took myself. But Generally speaking, I have ranked with, say, 15 Instagram posts or a variety of different social media embedded posts into my articles, and I have ranked them. But I would say, generally speaking, posts that I'm trying to rank for, visual content, the articles that at least have some uploaded images that have the alternative text field filled out and the file name change and everything done optimized as best as you can, along with captions or photo descriptions underneath, those tend to perform better than just having a big list of embedded social media posts. Now, if you use social media posts, definitely do a really good write-up around and before and after the individual posts, and that should be able to help you out. So, when you use an embed like this, when somebody pins this image off your site, that pin link is not going to go to your site. It's going to go to Instagram, right? It's not going to, so you don't really get that benefit. But at the end of the day, you can find some really great content on these social media sites that you can embed, and that's great. I mean, you could do a post right here of the funniest text conversations, and you go to Instagram, you go to Pinterest, you probably go to Twitter, and you're going to find a lot of them. And some aren't that funny, but some are hilarious. And I thought this one was funny. So the Pinterest hover button, Pinterest is a good traffic source overall for visual niches. For Fetzlik's blog, not really. For my law niche blog, not really. But for a travel website or a flowers website or something like that, it's very good. So I use the jQuery pinup button for images plugin. I used to use SumoMe. Just I don't know. I like this plugin more. It's free. It does a nice job. It's very easy to set up. There's a free version and there's a paid version. I think the free version is more than adequate, but even the paid version is not very expensive. So I use this on my visual niches so that I get a little Pinterest badge shows up in the corner of all the images on the site, and then people can pin individual images very, very quickly. So unique file names to avoid database confusion. What does that mean? It means this, okay? If you name two images that are JPEGs, the exact same file name, and upload them, and they're different, and you upload them into WordPress, you are going to confuse the images that are to show up in individual posts. You may want one of the images to show up, but the other one does, because the file names are identical, and it causes problems. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that all of your file names are different, and a very, very simple way to do that is just add the date to the end of a file name. So it would be Fabulous Blue Dress dash December 20-18. Boom. So now you know. I mean, it's never going to be that date again, so it's going to be unique. It's a very simple solution. Image linking, I covered this previously. Here's a screenshot showing you what you can do. It's actually a big deal. I always click the media file so that I have the Lightbox options that will show up. I'd never use the attachment page. Custom URL sometimes if it's a picture of a product or something I want to link to Amazon or to another page on my site, I'll use a custom URL. And once in a while I will use none. I may not want it to be able to open up into a Lightbox or whatever, and I just want it to be, just right there. That's it. It's in the post. You can't do anything with it. This is something I forget a lot, and so this is a good reminder for me. But check your articles on mobile phones especially, but also tablets. But make sure it looks right, especially your images. And if you're trying something different, a new layout or something, really go pull out your phone and check it out on there. You want to make sure that your images are right. And I think left and right aligned images days are over. It used to be done all the time because most people are on desktop and you could wrap the text to the right or to the left and it looked really good. And but the problem is let's say you have a image that's 290 pixels wide and it's left aligned, and then the text goes to the right. When you go to your phone and you check that image, you're going to have the image that almost spans the entire width of the phone, but not quite. And you're going to have a sliver of text on the right or left side of it, and it's going to look really, really bad. And these are the things you want to look out for on your phone. So my practice is to avoid any of that. Is I do big images, usually anywhere from 650 to 1200, 1300 pixels wide, and I center them in the post so no text can wrap on either side. And the other big benefit of this is I program ads to show up at different points in all my content at the same parts, and I might say, put this ad below image number 4 in the article. Okay, so when you have left and right aligned images, those ads can look really, really bad. But if it's centered and it's larger, the ads will show up below image 4 and they will look good. And so that's why I do it that way. Obviously, this is a stylistic preference. I'm just sharing with you what my preference is and why. And you know, do your own thing. If you can manage to manipulate the whole left and right align thing so that they always show up good on mobile phones, by all means go for it. I just am not going to take the time to do that. So what are the benefits of using images on a website, especially more? I mean, almost everybody puts a featured image on a post, and that's pretty standard right at the top, a nice featured image. But generally, let's say you have a long article and you have a lot of headings and so forth, and you could find relevant images for it. So you could go with the one featured image, or you could input 10 different images. One benefit is a longer dwell time on the site. I mean, basically you are using up more screen space and people have to scroll further. So if you have sticky ads showing up on your site, they might get an extra 3 seconds display time because there are images on your site, and that extra 3 seconds might increase your CPM for that ad. It's just possible. This doesn't mean you go out, oh, okay, well, if 10 images in a 2,000 word article is good, I'm going to put 150 images in there and really spike that dwell time. I wouldn't do that. I mean, just, use the images to enhance the content, which is really number two, is better user experience. Maybe. I mean, to a point. If you can't find images that are really relevant to the points that you're making, then maybe it's best not to put any images in there, except for maybe a featured image. But if you could find some good ones that make sense, say pictures of a particular person or a celebrity or nature or whatever that fits with the content, then I think it enhances the user experience. And finally, as I already mentioned previous slide, is that you can program your ads with some plugins to show up after X number of images, which is really cool because if you do have a lot of images in your content, it's nice to be able to say, okay, I want the ad to show up after image 5, or I want it to show up before image 8, and that sort of thing. And you can test all those different placements to see which works really well. And I do that extensively because I have a lot of images in pretty much most of my content. So it is great for ad placement options. And that wraps it up. That is, basically image SEO in a nutshell that I do pretty much everything I've learned after 4 years, almost 5 years now of publishing really, really image rich websites. I think I have over 80,000 images uploaded to my sites. So I've done a lot of it. I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes. And this is it in a nutshell.